We bought this car as a parts car, and you can see the roof is completely rusted out from a vinyl top. Somewhere along the line we decided to save it, so we started sanding on it, and we used vinegar to try to remove some of that rust. We used another coat of vinegar later on. Just lots of cleaning, lots of sanding. We used a wire wheel to get it out of the pits, and then we used a rust converter as the final step to try to get any residual rust that might have been in those pits that we weren't able to get. We used 1708 fiberglass. It's normally used on boats. It's got a woven cloth-like material on one side, and then the back side is strand. It's pretty thick stuff. Today we're back on the roof. We'd done the rust removal thing, hit it with rust converter, fiberglassed, skinned the top with stuff that they would normally use on a boat. Now we're gonna smooth that out. We're gonna put bedliner over top of that, kind of make a faux vinyl top. So we don't have to 80 grit sandpaper is probably good enough. We don't have to do like the final finish sanding like it's gonna get painted. But at the same time, any dents and imperfections are still gonna show through that bedliner. So we need to do some Bondo on some low spots and some pitting and stuff like that. So we're gonna smooth this thing out, get ready to put bedliner on it. The vinyl top was about 20 thousandths thick, and the clips that hold the trim on were based on that thickness. This fiberglass skin is about 40 thousandths thick, and so I'm trimming it back because I don't want it to extend under the trim. And then when I put the coating of bedliner on it, that should be about 20 thousandths thick, and that will extend to under where the trim is, so should compensate for the vinyl not being there. At least that's the hope. And in keeping what's somewhat of a theme here on our channel, that's the Dremel we're using, we found in the trash. Located some low spots there. We're gonna fill it in with Bondo. I mean, it is a hack job. It's not, it is what it is. We're not trying to make this thing perfect, but at the same time, if you can identify some spots that aren't gonna look good, we'll go ahead and take the time to throw a little Bondo in and smooth things out a little bit. We're not trying to be perfect, but we'll take a little bit of time to make things look better. Wanted to make a raised area where the seams in the vinyl would be. And so I sprayed a few coats of the bedliner material to kind of just build that up. But what I discovered is those, you can see the striations where the texturing in that fiberglass is really showing through a lot. And so I need to do a lot more mudding before this thing's actually ready for the bedliner to go on. Mixing some resin in with the Bondo to thin it out so that it'll spread easier. Thought about just using the resin, but thought that would be too viscous, so kind of split the difference here. I really thought we'd be spraying bedliner by now, but reality is what it is, and it's just going to take a lot more prep work on that roof than I anticipated for the bedliner. I really thought we'd just slap some fiberglass on and spray bedliner on top of it, but it would have just looked horrible. So, got to do what we got to do. It's just time consuming.